Okay, let's welcome my next guest. He's Heritage Foundation Senior Legal Fellow. He's John Malcolm. Great to see you, John.
Good to be with you, Liz.
Your thoughts on these anonymous media leaks that John Durham's criminal probe or the probe won't find problems?
Well, rumors are rumors. We're going to start to get some clarity next week on Monday when Michael Horowitz releases his report. It's clear that there will be information in there about why criminal referrals have been made. It's been widely reported that an FBI lawyer named Kevin Kleinsmith is in the crosshairs in that report. He was integrally involved in both the Clinton email server investigation and the Trump investigation. It's alleged that he falsified documents as part of the FISA application process. John Durham is, of course, there not to write a report. He is there to issue indictments if he thinks that any are warranted. And so we may hear from him next week. We may also hear from the Attorney General. You've heard rumors that he agrees with Horowitz. You've heard rumors that he disagrees with Horowitz. There have even been rumors that he may issue his own report, which, if he did, would be rather extraordinary.
Here's what we've been reporting on based on our own sources in law enforcement of the FBI. The broad Zoom perspective is how weak the process is and how low the threshold is to open up an inquiry into a political opposition campaign. The FBI failed to tell the FISA court their concerns that the anti-Trump Steele dossier was not credible. The Fusion GPS guys say it had doubtful claims in it. They say this in their book. It wasn't a finished product, not meant for the public. But then they were having, reading rooms set up for reporters. They had reporters reportedly from the New York Times, the Washington Post, from ABC come in and meet with Christopher Steele. And reports coming in, the FBI was leaking to the media about this anti-Steele dossier. Is this what the media is missing? It's about reforming an egregiously weak process to give FISA surveillance warrants. I mean, the threshold is low. To open the Russia probe, the FBI can open a preliminary inquiry based on an allegation that a threat to national security will occur. That's pretty low.
Well, FISA is a very, very powerful tool that exists for good and sufficient reasons so that we can spy on our enemies and find out whether they mean to do us harm, including foreign nations that mean to do us harm. It's an important tool and it's a powerful tool. And the fact that it was abused and potentially abused for political purposes ought to scare us all. And if you end up having people in the intelligence community and the top law enforcement agency approaching these investigations and the FISA process, which is really a public trust, through the jaundiced eye of a political lens and partisan politics, that is very, very scary. And the public ought to know about it. And if it damages the FISA process, it potentially could, jeopardize a very, very valuable tool that we need for national security purposes.
Yeah, to your point, the anti-Trump bias, the text messages we've seen between Lisa Page and Peter Strzok, the text messages saying that Trump was, quote, awful, loathsome, a disaster, and Republican supporters are branded crazies and ignorant.
Right.
That the insurance policy was the Russia probe. So it seems to, when you put it all together, the broad Zoom context, anti-Trump bias at the FBI, they take the Steele dossier as a roadmap to launch a probe, to help launch a probe, get the renewals. And who knows what was going on inside that super constitutional FISA court. Final word, John.
Yeah, so these are people, because of their obvious biases, who shouldn't have been involved in this investigation in the first place. But if they were involved in this investigation, it was incumbent upon them to go the extra mile to make sure that the evidence that was in there, the allegations in that Steele dossier, were verified. And in fact, none of that was done. Now, there may have been other information that established an adequate factual predicate, but that does not excuse the shoddy work that was done in an incredibly important investigation before a very powerful court.
John, thank you so much for joining us. Come back soon. I appreciate your insights.
My pleasure.
Next